Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, and I am here with a co-host today, and his name is
Norman Reynolds. Hi.
Norman and I go back a whole long time, and today we're going to be discussing a whole lot of things, including Trumpism and a whole lot more. You know, I tell you, this is going to be a special program because we're here in Marble Falls, Texas. We came here for a little getaway, and I said, you know, in these difficult times, in these times where our politics is growing, our politics is very difficult, there's really not time for a vacation until after the election. Is that right, Norman?
That's right. But we need a little break, don't we?
We needed a little break, but you know what? Spending an hour with you, spending an hour to really talk about things of interest is very important. And ironically, I'm calling here from Texas. We have the beautiful, I think it's Lake Johnson here in Marble Falls. It's Lake Johnson, right? We got to find out if it's Lake Johnson or not. But anyhow, being here in Texas, there's something interesting that one should know. Just before we started the show, I looked at Norman and I said, you know, in writing the show, I needed to find out if there's any breaking news. And what shows up on The Guardian? What shows up on The Guardian as breaking news? Houston, we've got a problem. Trump could cost Republicans Texas. Polls find. That is serious. And I have a bit more of a message for not only those in Texas, but if Texas goes, it also means that the country in general has made it wouldn't be a cataclysmic shift. What kind of a shift would you call that, Norman?
It would be let's call it a phase shift. We'll just have
a phase shift. We'll be in different times. Here's what The Guardian says. Polling shows Hillary Clinton within the margin of error in the Lone Star State, an unthinkable development years ahead of the party's most optimistic hopes. It might seem unlikely that this presidential election could take any stranger, but polls are emerging to suggest that Texas might now be in play for Democrats. I said this, and I don't want to say I said this, but Norman, you probably heard me say this a whole lot of times on the show, that I always believed that it wasn't a demographic issue that was going to be the only thing that make Texas a purple or more than likely blue state. It was going to be issues. It was going to be finally people waking up. We had a discussion earlier this morning where we discussed how do we best approach people. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but beforehand, I want to tell folks a little bit about what the show's about. I named the show, and believe it or not, the person who really gave me the impetus for the name is Senor Norman there. And 6:20, I'm coming to you in a little bit. I think that looks like Jack. Jack, I'll be coming to you, but let us get with the show, and then we'll be with you. So the title of the show is going to be How Do We Fight, or How Do We Get to Trumpism, and How Do We Fight It? I don't know if that's the exact title that you liked then. And then I said Trumpism was not created by Trump. Who created Trumpism?
Well, it was created a long time ago. Let's just call it back with Phyllis Schlafly and...
Yeah, you were mentioning that. I didn't realize that, that she was as instrumental as you explained it earlier on.
Yeah, in my way of thinking, all the way back there was this differentiation of trying to put people in their place.
Mm-hmm. From then on, even then, yeah, which is just a subset of what we have here. But anyhow, folks, like I said, what is Trumpism? Is it a distillation of hate or the stale old tribalism? Is it curable? Is it curable, Norman?
It's changeable.
It's changeable. Not curable, it's changeable. We will discuss that, however. But folks, as it goes with this show, and by the way, given that we're outside in the sun, looking at these laptops can be a bit difficult, but I think what time it is.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
The weekly blog post, I think, kind of goes into the same phase that we're talking about when we spoke about what's happening in Texas. GOP strategist, Democratic electoral blowout, Senate and House win. That's what he believes, okay? I don't quite believe it's going to happen yet, but it would be quite interesting. Republicans will rue the day they made Donald Trump their nominee. It seems like he will bring the Republican Party to one of their worst defeats. GOP strategist Steve Smith had a dire message about the election that will pain Republicans. He estimates a huge Democratic win, a blowout. He did not mince his words when Joe Scarborough asked him for the over-under of the presidential race and electoral college. And this is how it went. I think she is trending over 400, Steve Smith said. That 400, he means 400 electoral votes. Trending over 400? Scarborough asked shockingly. Yes, Smith responded. So Democrats take the Senate? Scarborough asked. Yes, Smith responded. Democrats take the House? Scarborough continued. Close, responded Smith. They could take it? Scarborough asked for confirmation. Here's him. If this election was today, Smith said, I think Republicans are down 25 seats as of today, with the trending line going in the wrong direction. The poll numbers are not good on the internal numbers. The panic is beginning. And for those of us on the inside, we all saw the panic. Hi, Tamara, how are you doing today? I hope you're Tamara Shealy is in Georgia. She is running for Senate. Type in there what district you're running from so that our audience can actually know who you are, where you are. So what I want to tell you guys, as far as I'll finish with the blog of the week, but I see Tamara there, and I think it's important we do this. She is a grassroots organizer who is working in Georgia, running for Senate District. Go Democrats. What district are you running for, Tamara? What district are you running in? She is, so go to her website, look up Tamara Johnson Shealy, and make a donation to her campaign. She's walking door to door, and she's bringing people door to door. Grassroots movement. That is how we said we were going to move this country forward. At the grassroots level, she is doing it. Anyhow, continuing with the blog of the week. As I said, Scarborough asked, is it she's going for Georgia Senate District 40. Georgia Senate District 40. Don't forget it. That's what we're going with. And I see you there, John, and we'll be with you in 1 second as well. If this was election day, Schmidt said, I think Republicans are down 25 seats as of today, with the trending line going in the wrong direction. The poll numbers are not good on the internal numbers. The panic is beginning. The panic has set in. Steve Smith is describing a wave election. It has not yet materialized thus far. However, the signs are there for such an event to occur. It is ironic that this election was always the Republicans to lose, and it seems they will be doing just that. It seems they will be doing just that. Tamara's website, tamaraforgeorgia.com. www.tamaraforgeorgia.com. Go ahead, visit her site, and see what grassroots organizing is all about. And when we talk about folks in the grassroots taking over the body politic again, when we talk about people taking over their government, this is what we're talking about. I met Tamara in Netroots, at Netroots Nation in, I think, Arizona. And I was very impressed because all the things that we speak about, moving on the grassroots level to effect change in our body politic, embodies it. She embodies what that is all about. So let's go ahead. Those listeners that are in Georgia right now, go ahead and work for this young lady and make sure that she becomes the next. An airplane is landing. Oh, I guess that's a boat. Make sure that she becomes the next state senator in Georgia for District 40. Norman, before I go to John on the line, what do you have to add to this?
no matter what the polls say, what we were talking about earlier is the fact that going on to the idea of tribalism.
Right.
So we talked about tribalism, something that I think we need to start distilling and try and take that amorphous form into something that we can deal with. Because, we talked about this before, and basically, if you look back in time, we had the Dixiecrats, right?
Right.
I remember our good friend Al was reminiscing about the fact that, he was in the back of
the bus and couldn't go to schools, right?
Right, couldn't go to the doctor, had to sit on the back porch of the doctor's office waiting there. But things changed for him, right? In his lifetime. Things have changed. For our lifetime, we also have to effect that change. Take what is this hate / tribalism that's there, and make it more tangible and reprehensible for us to identify it and say, hey, that is something that we will not have happen to us anymore.
And once it's reprehensible, it is something that people don't want a part of.
Correct.
Once something becomes reprehensible, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
But it's not going to end the tribalism. It's just going to. We will continue to be Americans. I mean, the Constitution, as we said, was not written for. It was written for the
10%. Yeah.
10%. And the 10%, really, they were trying to remove the tribalism that forced them apart. They were trying to pull themselves together.
Right.
We now are the people.
Absolutely.
We have to become. We have to look at what makes us tribal.
Prescient.
What makes us tribal, and start dealing
with it and supersede that. Right. Hi, Lean Ashley. That's Ashley. How you doing, my dear little daughter? Okay, my beautiful daughter. All right, let's go to John. John. Come on in. John is in San Antonio, and believe it or not, I somehow circumvent John. How are you doing today, John?
I'm great. How you doing, Egberto?
I am great. We're here in Marble Falls, Texas, but we had to maintain politics done right. It's an important time in our politics. What do you have to add to the conversation, my friend?
Okay, I want to say hello to Norman also.
Hey.
So he made some good comments, and sounds like it's going to be a good show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about what you're talking about, Trump and Trumpism.
Yes, sir.
And I'm really, in the fold that Trump is not going to have a huge influence. Now, a lot of the progressive people, and I'm pretty close with Sam Cedar. I'm going to be on his election coverage that night. And he is just the opposite. In fact, he was on MSNBC last night on Chris Hayes' show, saying that Trump is, he's going to be a major force. I'm hearing that he's going to have a shadow government. And I think, when this does happen, I don't see a 400 electoral vote win by Clinton. I think it's going to be very similar to 2008, around 255, 258 in that area. But the thing is that I just historically, when people lose that badly, they don't have a following for that. I mean, they basically, go about and go on with their life just like Romney did, just like McCain did, just like, Kerry and all these other people. And yeah, he'll be on shows, and he may start Trump TV, but I mean, he will be talked about as being a loser, a pretty bad loser, a bigly loser, as he would say. And so I think that also another thing, besides the fact that Clinton is going to be the first woman to ever be president, that's going to be, obviously the biggest story. The second biggest story is, we've only had since 1952, this will be the second time that one party will win 3 elections in a row.
Right.
And obviously Reagan did it from 80, 84, and 88. And this will be the second time. And I think that that's going to have a major impact. You've got to remember, after the Romney loss, even the hardcore people like Sean Hannity were saying we got to change. And of course, that didn't last too long because Limbaugh and all these other people are propagating this far right agenda,
Right.
and so I guess that'll be their civil war. All the talkers and all the people, the Koch brothers and all the people that are funneling all this money who want an extreme agenda, as opposed to the more Chamber of Commerce, which is also an extreme agenda. I'm not trying to say they're moderate Republicans, because even people like Paul Ryan are pretty extreme in my opinion, but they come off as media trained, and I think that if you look at polling, they have a little bit better chance of winning elections. And so I just don't see this major shift where Trump is going to be revered. I just think he's going to fade into the background, and I guess I'm in the minority on that opinion. But historically, that's usually what happens to those figures who lose badly.
Hey, John, I don't agree that he is going to be remembered. I believe there will be just like Bush, George W. Bush. A lot of forgetting is going to go on. And I think that is what's really going to happen. People will forget what we've gone through in this election, and the talking heads will do the same thing. You guys in the blog world that have done such a fantastic job so far are the only ones that people really can read and make up their own minds from, it seems.
I'm going to go in between what both you and John have said and otherwise. I think there's a slight difference with what Trump has brought up. Trump has made it vogue, in my opinion. In my opinion, Trump has made it vogue to say things that people just thought about, but thought it wasn't civil to say. And in doing so, I think he's opened up a new door of incivility in the country. And when Norman earlier spoke about we are going to have to expose the tribalism and all these things, I think that's a favor that Trump has done for the country as a whole. We've been covering a scab, and John, I know you heard the show that I did about a few weeks ago where we spoke about Trump ripping the scab off of the American sore. And in doing so, he forced us to confront problems that were always there. In other words, Trump is not exposing a new problem, but what Trump is doing is allowing this problem for people who have these problems to expose it in the forefront. Now, that said, I think it will be a disservice to us all if we just forget. I don't think we can just forget. I don't think we can allow the mainstream media to forget, because what's going to happen, right, is you're correct, I think, about forgetting, Norman, in my opinion, forgetting that this really occurred is a good thing, because nobody wants to believe that this moral country supported and did the things this immoral man did and spoke and said.
And was supported on. So nobody's going to want, a lot of people won't want that. But I think what he has done to another group of people is allow them to say, so what? So what if you think I am prejudiced? So what if you think I believe we can be misogynistic? So what if you think it is okay now? He has normalized these particular issues. And in that normalization, I think, lies Trumpism. And I know I'm only calling it Trumpism because he made it vogue. So you're saying, John, why don't you chime in here? You're saying that basically that Trumpism is going to be a scab that needs to be talked about a lot more?
Yes, I would like to see us keep it alive. Because what I want to do is not shame his supporters. Like I spoke earlier when we were discussing around with breakfast or after breakfast, I want to talk to the people. I want to reach the people who were caught up with Trumpism. I want to address them. I want to see what makes them tick. And John has already told me, I think, John, you are the one who saw the research that says it's not only the Appalachian folk who are distraught and that is our supporters, right, John?
Right. I mean, yeah. He has Republican supporters, obviously, who don't want to go against the party.
Right.
You know, who believe that the party either in through economic means or just through cultural means. A lot of that is religious means. Support the Republican Party, and even though they're offended by Trump and all of his extracurricular stuff that he does, at the core of their beliefs, they believe in the Republican message, and so I think that's a lot of his supporters right there. I think he's also losing a lot of that support as time goes on, and also Clinton has really tried to address those people, and he's been successful at it. I don't necessarily think that's the best strategy to taking back the House, but I mean, it's obviously worked pretty well in the last month, and so I mean, you can't really go against the numbers.
Right.
And the Senate looks really good right now. Just in the last week, there's been a ton of movement, and right now, out of the 7 aggregators, the lowest is the Huffington Post at 61%. The highest is Sam Wong at the Princeton Election Consortium at 79%.
Wait, hold on. Wait,
so,
are you John. This morning, the Daily Kos poll had it at 58%. Are you saying it has gone further up for the Senate at 50?
They had it. I just checked it before I came on, and they had it at 64
for the Senate.
For the Senate, yeah.
Wow,
I just checked the Times.
And what's the amount of, and what's the numbers that they had for it? As far as is it still at 50-50 or 51-49?
I don't know. I can check real quick. But, yeah. I mean, all they need is 50. Really.
Right. They just assuming they win the presidency. Yes. Yeah, because the vice president
right now
breaks a tie.
I have 51.
Wow.
Myself, but so yeah, because I mean what's happening is the Catherine Cortez Masto race is gone really well within the last 2 weeks, and I think that's because there's been a lot of pushback because Joe Heck has been leading.
Right, that's the Arizona
whole race.
Yeah, that's the Arizona race.
Right. No, it's in Nevada.
I mean Nevada. Yeah, come on, you're saying it wrong, but in Nevada.
Right. So that's Harry Reid's spot, and so. So she's been doing real well. Also, the Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire has done real well.
Right.
And so, and also Jason Kander in Missouri has done pretty well.
Actually, Burr may be going down in Missouri. I mean, is it Burr or Blunt? Missouri is Blunt, right?
Right, it's Blunt. Right.
He may be going down. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a poll that had Jason Kander up by 7 points. Now he's a Iraqi veteran, and he's he had I don't know if you saw the ad that he put out. Very effective ad. He basically put a gun together, blindfolded, but the ad was saying I know about guns, but I think we should have common sense gun control.
Right.
And so, from a veteran's perspective, very effective ad. And as soon as he put that ad up, his numbers started going up. And so, I mean, that's a toss-up race. 538 has Kander in the lead in that race.
No kidding.
One thing, Deborah Ross in North Carolina is about 2 points behind, but I was noticing that Bernie did put her on the Our Revolution website as somebody that he endorses, and so I didn't know that. I didn't know that she was really that progressive, and so that kind of gave me renewed interest in that race.
Right. Well, I mean, I think she's going to pull that one out because if judging from what we are seeing with the new interest in North Carolina, it seems like North Carolina is going to be pulling in 2008 numbers. So we'll see if that materializes or not. If it pulls in 2008 numbers, I think for sure she comes in. If it pulls in 2012, well, that kind of sketchy, right?
Yeah, but we still
Yeah,
have to
I mean,
vote here, so.
I mean, Obama only lost by 2 points, and
Right.
so it was still a very close election. So I mean, that's really one of the great toss-up states still, in the country. But I mean, I think Clinton will win. I think there will be a backlash. I mean, there no doubt is a backlash
Right.
to HB2. The bathroom bill,
Right.
And Cooper's probably going to beat McCrory for the governorship.
Yes.
Cooper's the Democratic candidate, and I think Clinton will win also, but that's very tight. It's within 2 points.
Yeah,
so I mean,
think,
I'd love to see a sweep.
I think the North. I saw some write up earlier today. A Northeast coast that is all blue except for South Carolina. Who knows? We'll see. But let me go ahead and bring Jack in. Jack's been waiting for a while. So, Jack, I hope you have your question ready to go. Now, Jack, you are hot. Come on in, Jack. How are you doing this morning?
Okay. Donald Trump. Correct with John. I'm disagreeing. He is fading fast.
Right. You think, John, you're saying Trump is fading fast? Is that what you're saying?
He's going to get slaughtered. He is in the process of getting slaughtered.
John,
He's
hold on a
in the
second.
process of giving up his campaign.
John, hold a second. I want for all the people that are listening to this show and all the people that are going to listen to the podcast or whatever, I want to make, and I think Norman was just about alluding to that. Let's make sure and remind folks that everything that we talk about and all these polls being positive that we're talking about depends on not people saying, okay, we're going to win it anyway, and then go ahead and stay home. It is important that folks understand that all these judgments that we're making right now is dependent on absolutely every person, every progressive out there.
Thought.
Go ahead. Go ahead and finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I didn't finish my thought.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm predicting. Okay, I'm predicting that Hillary Clinton will even carry Texas.
Great.
It's that bad for Trump.
I hope so. And John and I, and Norman, we hope so as well. In fact, we are going to be going to the polls ourselves.
He will get no more than about 13 states. I think he'll get this line from North Dakota through Kansas.
Okay.
He'll take Kansas, but every state, practically, every state will be sort of pink.
Well,
won't be quite blue yet.
Well, look, John, listen.
I think he'll take Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll take Georgia, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he'll take.
Could take Alaska.
Yes, I read that.
Alaska. Well, that's a stretch. It's a possibility. I don't even believe that. He might even be competitive in Mississippi.
That's scary. But hey, let me say something. Look, I want to stop you a second, Jack, because I want to tell folks again. I want to reiterate that because the way this shows works on Facebook and otherwise, people come and go, and they hear this good news and then they leave. Like anybody switching channels on the radio. So I want to keep repeating as many times as I can, folks. You have to go out there and vote. You have to go out there and represent. You have to go out there and represent your values.
Correct.
Absent that, we are not going to. Go ahead and make your plea, Norman.
We can't depend on
the
result.
Still didn't.
You had more to say, John?
Still didn't finish my thought.
Well, Jack, please finish your thought.
I still didn't finish my thought.
Okay, Jack, I'm going to give you a chance to finish your thought in a minute. I need to tell my people listening through Blog Talk Radio that this is a call-in show. You can call in at 646 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. I would love to hear from more people, both on Facebook Live as well as on Blog Talk Radio. This is a call-in show. Reach us now at 646-929-2495. My apologies to you, Jack. Please continue.
Okay, I predict they got a good chance to take the House.
Oh, I would love to see
the
that.
Senate, I mean the Senate, not the House.
Okay.
Now the House, Senate is maybe 6 votes in favor of the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're a lot of them are vulnerable. Even say is people in Missouri.
Yeah, that's blunt.
And Indiana, and I see you'll take but the House is a stretch. There are 25 to 30 members. You have to get 25 to 30 people. The House has got to get 35. Democrats have to take 25 to 30
slots. Yeah, we get that, John.
Representative. It's a stretch. It'll go maybe, and I think it's going to be good for.
Well, let me just tell you what
Hillary Clinton is still. Hillary Clinton's still unpopular. They don't like her too well even among Democrats.
Right.
I think.
Okay, John. I got to move on.
She'll win.
Got you, John. I got to move on, but I'm keeping your microphone.
That's it. As far as I'm concerned, I got to get off the air. I got to eat lunch.
Hey, Jack, before you go,
Jack, thank you.
Jack, before you go, did you have your surgery already? Oh, we lost him. Anyhow, folks, Jack, I hope Jack is right. I hope he's wrong about the House, because my contention is that the House is also very gettable if we all go out and vote and if we do the job that we're supposed to do. John, did you want to add something to what Jack had to say? You're on, Jack.
Well, just on the House, there's a lot of internal polling that has Republicans afraid. Right now on PredictWise, it's about 17%. I think it peaked on the Sunday after the Billy Bush thing at 29%.
Yes, it did.
The number is exactly 30 seats. To actually take the House back with Boehner's seat. Which will be won by a Republican. So I mean, it's going to be tough. I have my list of the 50 most flippable districts, and I'm constantly reviving it. But it's definitely moving in that direction. It's hard to say because a lot of times they're just not polling with these races, or they're internal polling, which is hard to beat. A lot of it is not credible.
I want to stop you there, John. I want to
because
stop you right there for a second, because there are internal poll-ins that have been done over the last week. And that's the one that Steve Schmidt, the Republican strategist, very smart guy, actually was reviewing. And he went on to, that's the quote that I had in the blog of the week from MSNBC and a couple other places, where he stated that currently their numbers, the internal polls have plus 25. Which means if you have a plus 25, we're really talking about a wave, and a plus 25 can easily be a plus 15 or a plus 40. You know how that works. It can be a plus 15, it could be a plus 40.
Right. But also, 30 seats that's a lot of seats.
Well, what was it? Hold on a second. What was the
just
turnover?
When I look at the most flippable,
hold on a second.
When I look at the most flippable districts.
Remember 2010, what was it, 40, how many seats? Or was it 60? I don't remember quite the flip. It was huge
Yeah, it was a huge difference. I mean, in 2006 was big for the Democrats. I'm not saying it's not possible.
Right.
I'm just saying, I think that right now, like I said on PredictWise, they have three different categories. There's the one is the Democrats winning. There's actually more than that, but the three that have the biggest numbers, and then there's Republicans 218 to 230, and that's, I think, right now at 41%, and then there's let me see, that's 43%, and right now the Republicans holding 231 to 240 is at 34%. So, I agree with what you're saying. People should go out to vote. I mean, I know that the early voting probably starts in Houston,
on
right?
Monday.
Or
On Monday.
Yeah, on Monday. So that's where it starts here. So, I mean, I'm going to definitely vote early, and I encourage everybody to vote early to try to avoid the lines and try to avoid all this. Hopefully, there won't be this intimidation, but I'm sure in certain parts of the country there will be intimidation. And so I hope that that's dealt with, properly. But try to avoid the lines, vote early, and definitely vote. And that I know you always say that caveat, and that's extremely important, especially to the Democratic base. The millennials are extremely important that they come out. The African American community, the Latino community, single women. I mean, those are all really heavily Democratic base supporters, and I think they will come out. The numbers have been great. They're better than 2012 so far, as far as the actual votes that have been cast throughout the year, and they're ahead in almost all the states compared to 2012.
John, I want to.
So I'm very happy about that.
I want to break in there because now that you started talking the numbers, how the numbers break from recent elections to now, or etc. And I'm going to go to Norman first. What are your thoughts on? Right now, we are strictly talking federal. In other words, we're talking about the House of Representatives, we're talking about the Senate, we're talking about the presidency. But I have a bigger caveat. Right now, we have a 31-19 governorship disparity between Democrats and Republicans in the states. Right. We also have a legislature disparity, which is huge.
Yep.
First, I'm going to ask you, Norman, what do you think of that disparity? Do you think some of that is going to be mitigated with this election, or do you think this election is just going to be kind of dubious on a federal level?
And on the state level?
Yeah.
So on the state level, I'm seeing us, looking at all the states that are Republican per se, yes, people will start saying that we don't have a stable of folks that can come in and do the job, right? So basically, we do need to start populating those. But this election itself is not going to make that big a difference, in my mind, at the state level. I think it becomes a wave. It's the snowballing effect. I think we just need to start doing something. As progressives, just need to do something.
But my real question,
and start getting the ball rolling.
But my question, though, is, given that what we're going to see is, or given that what we expect to see is that a sort of a wave, do you think that wave turns some houses in the states?
I think what it will do, it won't turn the houses in the states. It will start winning. It will turn all the people,
district courts, all
the people who are currently on the bill on the electoral map. They will on the election ballot.
Right.
As you look at the election ballot, people will vote straight Democrat.
Right.
But I'm expecting a lot of split ballots.
Okay,
right?
got you.
I do expect there will be a lot of split ballots, but at the same time, those split ballots will lean Democratic anyway.
Right.
So because of that, I don't expect that all of them will become will be winners. I think that on a statistical basis, I'm looking at this from a statistical point of view.
Mr. Engineer, absolutely, we think that we think alike, brother. What's your thoughts on that, John?
Well, right now I see pickups in the governor's races in North Carolina, which you were talking about before. There's a 65% chance that Cooper's going to win.
Right.
In Missouri, there looks like there's a pickup at 63%, and in Indiana, Mike Pence's old seat, there's a 52% chance. And so it looks like there's going to be 3 pickups, and the Democrats are going to continue to win in Washington State, Delaware. Oregon, Montana, West Virginia, New Hampshire, Vermont. So yeah, it looks pretty good for the governorship. There's also a 45% chance that there's going to be a pickup in North Dakota.
You're kidding me.
So that's really close. No,
Wow,
I'm not.
this is blowing my mind. In terms, I didn't think this was going that far. But I'm still on the fence, holding on to, hoping that this does work out the way we want it to. I'm holding on to the conservative pick here, being a bad gambler.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I want to put in people's mind positive affirmations. In other words, I don't want folks to sit back and be worried about it. I want folks to be aggressive. And, you know, there's some of us that are going to sit down, and that's why I'm happy to have you on here as well. Because one of the things Norman did is Norman sent me a text more, and he said, "I'm going to do my duty, and you guys need to let us know, or let me know, let others like me know what I can do for a cause." And we won't necessarily put what that is, but we know what that is. What can I do? What can I do to make things better? And that's what we're doing. That is exactly what we're doing. So what I want to do is empower people. Tell people, don't sit back and think, well, is it going to happen, or do you think it's going to happen?
Right.
Let's go ahead and make it happen. There's a difference. There's a difference in the way you fight a battle. If you fight a battle on the defensive, you generally lose. If you fight a battle on the offensive, you stand a 50% chance of winning. And that is what we've got to do.
But you got to fight the battle.
But you got to fight the battle.
Right, you got to fight a battle regardless. So, John, thanks for clarifying the stakes to me.
The fight is there. So, John, so what do you think about, I don't know about you, about your county. I think you're in Bear County in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I'm in
yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good. I mean, you know, we're a majority Democratic county here, and you know, a lot of it is just getting out the vote. So that's important. Obviously, you know, it's not like Travis County. I saw a thing that Travis County has a 90% voter ratio.
Can you believe
90%?
that?
I mean, that is amazing.
No,
I was so happy when I saw that.
Registration ratio.
Thrilled.
90% of registered voters, or rather, our voters in registered voters, or rather, 90% of voters in Travis County are registered voters. That is outright amazing.
Yep, that's fantastic.
That is great, and
right. And I think Trump added to that. I think people, you know, he scared them straight, you know, and they want to vote against him.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, I'm here with Norman Reynolds, a good friend of mine. We decided to have our show, even though we figured we had to take a small vacation for all the work that we've been doing, right, Norman?
Right. We decided to just take a little break.
So we decided to have this.
I had to get him out of the house just for a little bit, you know.
Absolutely. Let's see. Steve, Start of Moon says, as a Texan, I would love to see Texas go blue. Absolutely so. And you know what, Start of? You are the one that will be responsible for accomplishing that. Because when you go ahead and have your vote, when Marianne Castiglia, my good friend from Coffee Party, has her vote and make sure that others know that she is voting, then Norman, good for you, Norman. Saludos de Marianne Castiglia. Anyhow, so folks, you are the ones that are going to make that difference. You are the ones that are going to turn this country to do the things that it needs to do to support all the people that it needs to support. Now, folks, do remember this is also a call-in show. You can give me a call at 646-929-2495. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. You have left the dominance of this show today to Senor John, which we love having John every week on, as well as Jack from, where's Jack from again, John? I think he's from Missouri, right?
I think he's living in Kansas now.
Oh, he's in Kansas now. Okay, great. And it's great. My daughter was on the show also. My daughter should call in and give me a report on the what millennials are thinking right now. So if my daughter so feels the need to or the desire to, she should call 646-929-2495 and tell us what are the feelings in millennials. She has an interesting job where she is in touch with a whole lot of people, both millennials and otherwise, and she generally has a very good perspective as well. But folks, this is a call-in show. Again, that number is 646-929-2495. Senor Norman, we were speaking a whole lot about tribalism earlier today, and you sort of brought it up a little bit. What can we do as a society? Because one of the things that I believe in is we must get away from tribalism. Yes, we must get away from tribalism. Is tribalism innate within humanity? My thought process is I don't know if that is necessarily important, given that as social beings, we have control of society. There are a lot of things that are endemic within humanity itself that we've mitigated. Your thoughts?
Well, let's put it in context, right? So to me, I'm just looking at tribalism as you know, we as if I'm a Democrat,
right,
and I have a Democratic leader who has done some dastardly deeds, right, I would start going in my own head, being a tribalist, because I come from that. No matter what we do, we are going to come from our own culture, our own background, where we come from,
right,
our unconscious biases, our biases, however we come up with them. So we're gonna this person is our what's it when you have a face that's a
facade.
A facade. That person's your facade, your image to the rest of the world. You're living through that person somewhat. And as you do that you would not do those things, so you turn around and say, my guy would not do that, right? So you start defending that person, and you start. That's a bit of tribalism also. This so. To me, I'm looking at tribalism a little more bigger than just looking at
tribalism is a lot more than just a racial issue or
right,
a cultural issue.
Right.
It also is, this is my, as you said, this is my man, this is my guy, and as such,
or my lady,
my lady. And by the way, when I use guy, it's not gender based, but whenever you know, there are times that we have to be careful with that. Thanks for noting that, because society only change when we get rid of all those biases, and we all have those intrinsic biases.
Correct.
So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So as I was saying this morning, you know, the idea is that no matter what, the biases of the past, the last 50 years, will exist. I mean, we just have to see them for what they are, crystallize them, and start acknowledging them, making them become ugly. Ugly that we shouldn't do it.
I think that is in line with what I just said, right? In other words, I'm saying that, you know, whether I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or anything, so I don't know if tribalism is some seed that is right. Maybe somebody can tell us that, whether tribalism is really a function of humanity. But the one thing that you said, also a function of humanity, is embarrassment and wanting to do good. Right. So even if there's a little piece of you telling you to do bad, which in everybody there's a little piece of you that's always telling you to do bad, that can be mitigated.
Right. So what we're talking about is really Trump had become kind of like an image for this for the group of Republicans that we have, right? So as people start recognizing, crystallizing the thought pattern around him. So you're telling me, you know, the purpose of us getting together and talking about this is really how we talk to our Republican brothers and sisters. Right. So so to talk to them, we need to understand where they come from and why they believe the way they do. So that's the reason why that's the reason why we're talking about tribalism. We also need to guard against the false equivalency that's out there. I mean, there's a bunch of equivalency that's going to go on. It's been going on all along, and it's going to keep going on, about terrible behavior being lumped on people who represent you to people who are on the fringes, right? On one side. So it is important that we realize and start crystallizing what tribalism really is, and dealing with those terrible behaviors, crystallizing them, making them be true, so each tribe can acknowledge what is real.
Right. So let me ask you, in that light, Hillary Clinton's comment about, let's say, when she used the terms irredeemable, I think that was, I was with her as far as I understood the statement, but the portion of the statement that I as well didn't like was the irredeemable portion, because and I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but in for everything that I do I do this under the expectation that I can speak to people, that I can get to people, and that I can, if not change folks immediately, but that people, I would plant a seed that folks would later on say, I can be a better person assuming I do this. I could be a better person if I support this. And I think what my only drawback with a term like an irredeemable person is that it's saying that within them there is something systemic, unchangeable. And I believe that of no human being.
Well, you come from a belief system that has that, right?
Right.
But just like you exist.
Right.
I believe there are people that exist that don't believe that they're changeable when it comes to certain things.
Right.
That they won't change. They won't change regardless. But so I'm just saying.
But
I'm opening up the board.
No, can you identify that, or is that an identifiable trait that you can say this particular person, no matter what happens in their lives, will simply never change?
No, I think that's a conscious choice.
It's a conscious choice.
It's a conscious
choice. So if
choice.
it's a conscious choice, just maybe it can be changed.
It's a conscious choice. So people are making a conscious choice not to change.
Your thoughts, John, your thoughts.
No, I agree. I think that anybody, I mean, I've seen all kinds of media figures who were once Republicans who change, and some of them, go the opposite way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, everybody is redeemable, and I see it all the time. I mean, so you see people change, and it's great. I mean, the important thing is to keep an open mind, but also have a belief system that is firm, and it's kind of hard to walk that balance sometimes,
right.
Because like as a Bernie, supporter, there were certain things that Bernie did that I didn't care for. Now, I thought he was great on 99% of his stuff,
right.
But certain things I didn't care for.
John.
And so, you don't want to idolize somebody,
right.
But, if they actually have ideas that you think are going to make the country better,
you do that.
Then you want to support that strongly.
Absolutely,
so,
John.
As far as identity, I think it's also important, as a white guy, I mean, it's embarrassing for me to see, the history of white men, and, we're voting for all these terrible people that don't want to give equal rights to their fellow citizens. And that's very, harsh for me to understand. But, that's kind of the way that society's been if you look through our history. And I think, in 2008, the Obama's election, I thought that was a great turning point.
John, I'm going to have to cut you there for a second.
The backlash is hit.
John, I want to cut you for a second.
I hope we're moving forward.
Great. John, let me cut you for a second and bring in Ashley. Ashley, your thoughts?
On the election?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess for the younger crowd, at least I know for myself, we kind of just turned everything off.
Uh-huh.
So I'm pretty sure that the majority of the millennials will vote for Hillary. I know when I was talking with others, they were trying to think of a third party because Hillary wasn't really popular, and then Trump was just an absolute no-go. But I think we just aren't listening really anymore. It's more entertaining, if anything.
Now, let me ask you this, and do you all see the importance, however, of politics? In other words, I know you said you're not listening anymore, maybe because a lot of these people have failed you. But my question is, do you see the importance why you must be politically engaged?
Yeah, I mean, that is important, in policy, but we don't really understand it that much because we're still trying to recover from what the generations before us have done.
Okay.
So I think for us, we do vote on policy, but mostly, just by, this is all like anecdotal, but we speak about the social issues mostly.
I am glad that you
Now,
said
the policy,
I'm glad you said what the other generation has done to you. I want you to tell the audience what you as millennials feel the other generation has done.
From your opinion.
From your opinion.
I mean, this is only my opinion. I haven't researched it at length or anything, but I feel that we just don't have the same opportunities of security as the previous generations have done or have had. So debt is just kind of a normal thing now. So college is expensive. I don't think any of us are expecting to have, the quintessential, for a family of four, a house, a car, and a retirement plan.
Right.
Like, we're not even thinking of retirement. I think I read another article the other day about how they keep saying, like, oh, why do we spend so much money on brunch, and everything like that. It's because, like, we have enough money for brunch and not enough money to save. Like, we're picking and choosing what to have because we're not even sure if we're going to have anything. Even if we save it, we're not sure we're going to have it later on.
I just want to make I want to interrupt you for a second and just make a mention to the audience that what you're saying is absolutely valid. The past generation has really taken a whole lot from the current generation. The GI Bill and low taxes and low education that we were benefited, that we had the benefits of, this new generation does not. And whereas now we didn't have the debt that prevented us from buying homes and these sort of things. They have that problem that they will have a debt before they even have a home. Ashley, make your final point because we're going to have to shut this baby down.
Yeah, I mean, my final point is it's kind of, we're one of the most educated generations, but we're not the most paid, even though we're more educated. So I would say that's the final feeling of everybody, right? We have to have experience. We can have experience without education. Education's too expensive, so we can't even get a job based on our experience. So we're just stuck in this little loophole that we can't get out of. That's the final statement I have. Yeah.
Prescient,
excellent statement, Ashley. You wanted to add a little quick thing?
I want to ask a question, Ashley, and it's going to be quick. So just asking, I know millennials get their news from social media primarily, but how do you guys do with the media figures that are currently there? Do you trust them? How do you feel about them? People in the popular media.
I didn't fully hear the question.
How do you feel
I'm
about
sorry.
folks in the media?
Yep.
About stuff in the media right now?
Yep. People in the media. The people in the media. Are you trustworthy?
The anchors and the CNN and MSNBC and all that?
Right.
Right. So I think I read another article about how CNN is actually paying people to defend Trump, and so it kind of just feels like a trap or propaganda,
right?
Okay,
if you will.
I love that answer because that is exactly what it is, my dear daughter. That is exactly what it is. But anyhow, thank you very much for calling in, Ashley.
Hey, Sarah,
and you should become a regular. And
thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, read Sarah's message, please.
I'm in my 30s, and I'm so buried in student loan debt that I may never be able to buy a home. Right now, I couldn't even rent an apartment with my own credit the way that it is. I found out recently. And
that is a plight of many of our young people for having a government who over the last several years have only talked about cutting taxes, cutting benefits, and reducing regulations. That is what we've done. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're independent or anarchist. I don't care who you are. The current system doesn't work for you, not because of anything specifically that you've done. You have been failed by Democrats and Republicans who have bought into a political and economic system that have failed and that continues to fail. John, you only have 10 seconds before I have to close her down.
60 I agree seconds. With all of that, and I have to say tax phobia is what's causing the states not to give money to state colleges, and that's causing the students to pay more money.
Okay,
and this is happening all through the country, and it's a shame.
Thank you very much, John. Norman, give me a final statement.
I think, Egberto, you're doing a great job. Keep going on with this. I really think that we need to be ready for what comes after. Millennials or not millennials, we need to be ready for what comes after this election. And that's it.
Well, folks, thank you very much for listening to one more edition of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. I have been honored to be with Norman Reynolds, a good friend who is with the movement, who has always been with the movement, like all of us throughout this country should be with the movement. This is Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies. Have a wonderful day and keep on keeping on.
Bye.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES, that is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.